Actually, it's from a recent graduate of our teacher's training, and she writes, Satnam Gurmukh, Reminiscence of a 5-year-old child. How do fish sleep? Why are there palm trees in LA when LA is not an island? And why did you not give money to that gentleman? He seemed like he needed it. In response to number 3, I had no good answer, so I began to give. The other day, a woman's eyes lit up as if it were Christmas, and so did my heart. So, what children can bring to us. We just got back from Toronto. We were teaching in New York, Ottawa, and Toronto. And it was in an old church in Toronto where they had taken out the pews. And that seems to be where we are teaching these days, of churches that no longer exist as churches because they don't have the congregations and the finances to keep the churches running as they had before. And so they often take the pews all out and then they rent it out for events. So it's an interesting, we go to Washington, D.C., I teach in that way. Ottawa was a church again, and Toronto was a very, very big church. So you start asking yourself, where are all those people that used to go to church? Maybe they come to yoga classes now. And I don't know, but we had a rock and roll time in Toronto. We were being joined by our daughter, Waiguru, who we have not really been in communication with for some days now. But what reminded me as I was doing sadhana these last 2 mornings, she went to India when she was 6.5 years old. And in those days, which was 22 years ago, there were no emails, there were no faxes, there was no communication except snail mail. There was nothing back in 1986, 1989 or 88 when she went. And so we lived in constant prayers as mothers, especially, and of course as parents. And the connection was so much deeper than the easiness that we have connecting with an iPhone or with an email or a Facebook or a Twitter or everything else that you do. It's so instantaneous. We're just back like, oh, you're there, da 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 da. But when you're asked to keep that psychic umbilical cord, or that psychic tie with other people, it causes you to have to go a little bit deeper to make that connection, and also developed enough in that connection that you can trust it and not have worry take you over like the what ifs. So when your child is away from you or a loved one is not in proximity of phone, email, Twitter, how does one develop, which almost seems to have been lost because we get the reassurance of the voice or a text messages and all of that. So it brought up that old relationship that I was really forced to have with her without all of the modern communication modalities now. And it's been really fun and it's been really, really deep to be able to go there and to feel in my heart that she was fine and almost have a correspondence or communication beyond this or beyond this. So if you haven't tried that lately, even if you're an easy Twitter away from someone or Facebook away from somebody, what?
Didn't you teach us this?
This one for communication, yeah, to be able to stay in touch, because this finger pulls down Mercury, which is the planet that gives you clear communication. So it's been a good process for me, And I started thinking of all the people in the world that relatives go off and you don't, and you're not able to communicate. Or if, say, you've lost touch with somebody and they kind of run through your periphery or run through your, wonder how so-and-so's doing, they're probably communicating with you. They're probably at that moment right with you also. And I think it's really good, and it happens in sadhana in the morning or in your meditations, that clarity and that union with others come about. And I just wanted to share that with you. So it might be something, lest we have a situation someday where you don't have all those modern communication devices. Do you have another way to talk to others and to communicate with others? And so I thought today that we would just share in our communication with everybody in the room today as we move our bodies a lot. And